Alchemist Astrologer, and this is the Inner Goddess reading for Gemini Sun, Gemini Rising, and Gemini Moon. So, my gorgeous Gemini, what are you thinking? What's going on in your head? How are you feeling about yourself? What are you telling yourself? What's the inner dialogue? You have the Three of Pentacles, the Nine of Wands reversed, and talk is cheap. So there's an issue here concerning cooperation. Perhaps you've given up trying to juggle responsibilities or, keeping some balls in the air, and you've moved on to trying to get some help, some advice, some counsel, or some input. So you may be seeking cooperation with others. There's the group dynamic at play here, which may come about through dealing with the court system, counseling, therapy, or getting with people who have some kind of expertise or knowledge that they can impart to you so that you can improve a situation or circumstance. Maybe you're dealing with actual improvements that connect to property, or maybe you're doing some self-improvement. So you are currently occupying your thoughts with how you can rectify whatever has gone wrong. Because perhaps there's something that you want to do. This is coming up with a well-grounded plan, a course of action, some guidelines. And you may need input for that. Somebody that can shine a light on where something is wrong or not up to par, or how you can make some improvements. Now, in some cases, perhaps you're thinking about how far you have to go and how you could have gotten much further had you not been dealing with certain issues or certain people, certain dependencies upon you that have slowed your growth or blocked your progress. And the Nine of Wands says that maybe you feel, in the upright, there's some defensiveness here, this determination to protect yourself. And perhaps now you've given that up. Maybe you're no longer seeking perhaps to get the cooperation, or you don't have faith that you're going to get it. So you could be reconsidering your commitments. Again, especially if you feel you've been dealing with somebody who is emotionally insecure or needy. Maybe this is about shirking responsibility or lacking discipline, or maybe you're just bored and tired with what you've been doing or the path that you've been on. So in some cases, maybe you're seeking your freedom. Maybe you're being a little bit impulsive. You're being rash because, again, you feel like you've been held back from your desires. So in some cases, you want that cooperation. You want to make some improvements, but you feel like you've reached a dead end. And maybe you've experienced some kind of setback as a result of that. Health-wise, maybe you're dealing with something that's prolonged, something chronic, something nagging, and it could be maybe your immune system is weakened, or you don't feel like you have a defense, whether that is with your body or in a situation. So in some cases, maybe you project that. You feel hostility toward other people. Maybe there's something that has caught you off guard. Now, again, this could be a court case. Maybe you were caught off guard and you've been summoned to court, and that's occupying your mind. And there may be a price to pay for that because talk is cheap. But again, if this is you losing faith in getting cooperation, you may be feeling that somebody is not really walking their talk. They're saying all the right things, but they're not delivering. So you may be occupying your mind with getting cooperation and either trying to protect yourself or where you've given up and feel that maybe that you're powerless, that you're not going to get the cooperation, or that your defenses are down for some reason, either physically, emotionally, or otherwise. So now what's going on with your body image? How are you feeling about yourself, being in your own skin? Are you pleased with where you are? Are you taking care of yourself? Or are you in body shaming mode? Are you picking your body apart? Is there some dissatisfaction with your physicality? You have the universe, which is the world card, and the high priestess. So you're making some decisions about your health. Perhaps an issue has come full circle. You're doing an assessment. You'd like the biggest, best possible outcome. So for some of you, you're rethinking some things, wondering if perhaps the course of action that you've taken is indeed the right course. And your intuition is perhaps guiding this process. You're starting to look at what your limitations are, what you're actually capable of physically. And so you're making decisions about what you can take on, what you can't, especially if you're not getting the help that you need, or you feel that your defenses are down, or you've given up on gaining cooperation. You may be looking at what it is that you can actually achieve. And so for some of you, this is going to mean a fresh start in some area connected to your health. Maybe you're making some changes. You're going to eat better, or get more sleep, or exercise, or try to find out what's wrong with you. The high priestess says maybe you're getting some advice about that, or you're just tapping into your own intuition. There's some kind of opportunity related to you physically where you're having to look at that and see whether it still remains valid for you. It may seem like a golden opportunity, and yet there's some kind of string attached that you may not want to involve yourself in. So you're making some decisions about completing a cycle so that you can start a new one. And you're going to have to trust yourself. So that's reiterated with the High Priestess card, to listen to your intuition, to combine your logic with your inner knowledge to come up with answers, or either get advice from someone who's in the know, because there could be something going on with your health that's maybe deep-seated, maybe behind the scenes. This could also be your ideal of what it is to be beautiful. You're having to make decisions about that. Now, some of you, maybe you're a little bit melancholy about aging, or you're dealing with issues connected to aging. Maybe you're dealing with stress. And maybe this is stress that's brought on again. If you're in some kind of situation that is legal in nature, maybe you're dealing with government agencies. There could be burdens and stress from carrying the weight of the world on your shoulder, especially if you feel like others are not pulling their weight. For some of you, maybe you're dealing with some kind of hormonal imbalance, or maybe you're dealing with some stomach issues, or some emotional or psychological issues that may require some form of counseling. Because the High Priestess says that you're tapping into the psychological, the emotional, some past conditioning, and maybe you need to get to the root of that. So you should trust yourself. Now, if you're holding in any kind of resentment or anger toward others, that may be coming back to your physical self. You may be imploding on yourself because you haven't adequately dealt with some emotions that you have, some resentments toward other people. So for some of you, you're going to have to practice some form of forgiveness about what's happened in the past so that you can move forward. You're going to have to forgive yourself for making mistakes, or when maybe you didn't take care of yourself the way you should have. So this is about trusting yourself, making good decisions about what's right for you, what your capabilities are, what your limitations are as far as taking care of your health. Maybe you have an ideal about beauty that connects to the exotic or the foreign. And maybe, you measure yourself by that standard. Or maybe you feel like you're not mainstream beauty. But this says trust yourself, believe in yourself, in your own beauty. Now, what's going on with your creativity, your passion? How do you honor yourself? What are your dreams? Are you pursuing those? How do you nourish your soul? You have the Devil reversed, the Nine of Swords, and big mistake. So you may be you may have some kind of worries. Maybe it has to do about closing a business, losing business, the way you handle business. The Devil reverse could go in either extreme. You're either saint or sinner. So you could be caught up in some kind of temptation, negative habit, obsession, compulsion, addiction, something that's keeping you bound, that's self-imposed. Maybe you've been dealing with a lot of challenge, a lot of restriction, a lot of delays, and it's causing some anxiety, some worry. So your emotions are in flux because of all the thoughts going through your head. On the other hand, maybe you're anxious to make some positive changes. The Devil reverse could be the other extreme, where you've decided to give up some bad habits. You realize certain things have been a big mistake. And perhaps, you're going over old ground, things that had to do with the past. And you're looking at the decisions that you made, or maybe the decisions of others that you allowed to impact the way you honor yourself or your creativity. And it could be that you're not considering other available options, that you've closed off to some things because you were resistant. You had an idea that, based on a principle, you couldn't pursue that route, or your pride didn't allow you to do certain things. But there are other available options. So something has been occupying your spirit and having an impact on your creativity, your passion. And again, it's either extreme. The Devil says it's possible that you have a lot of influence, that you can turn a situation your way because you have the power of speech. Maybe you're very eloquent, magnetic, persuasive, but you'll have to be careful of how you direct that energy because it could lead you down the wrong road to the wrong temptation. That could be a mistake. So either you are correcting mistakes or actively involved in making them. Now, what is your strength? This is your goddess power, your magic that you can use to manifest during this period. You have the Five of Pentacles and the Ace of Swords. You also have you know better. So you have a lot about trust yourself, big mistake, you know better. So either you know better about something that's been a big mistake, or you're the best one to handle something. This is about gaining some truth. Now, there could be an agreement that ties to health. It could tie to your spirituality. It may tie to poverty. But there's a need to gain some clarity, and perhaps your gift is being able to cut through things to see them for what they are. You can cut through the BS, gain clarity, get to the bottom of something where there's been a lack of faith. It's also possible that you come up with some brilliant ideas. You start to get very creative, especially if you feel like there's lack. Maybe you offer the truth to others where there's been some spiritual lack, where there's been the pursuit of the material and not enough attention to the inner. You have the ability, perhaps, to guide people. You know better. You know how to tell others exactly the way that it is. You know how to be concise and to the point and to gain clarity and a handle on a situation. So for some of you, this is about stimulating others through mental processes, your communication skills. You provoke thought. You challenge ideas because, again, you know better. So it could be that Either you are coming up with ideas because you've had some recent setbacks, some emotional disappointments, or you have the ability to gain clarity and shed light on situations for others who may be experiencing difficulty. So your magic to manifest is the ability to look at a situation, assess it, and realize, perhaps the more positive points of it, how you're not as bad off as it seems, to get to the truth of something, to gain clarity, to have sharp focus, and to direct with a lot of willpower and concentrated effort. Now, your lesson in love that may pertain to yourself or others you're dealing with is, I am free to explore the limits of my desire. So, you are free to explore the limits of your desire, especially if you've been in a situation where you've been held back, you haven't gotten the cooperation. It's time to trust yourself, what your own needs are, what your own wants, your ambitions, your goals, your desires, whatever that may be. It's time for you to get to the truth, get to the bottom, come up with some kind of clarity about what it is you really desire of yourself in situations and in connection to others. But this could also be if this devil is operating in the extreme, where you're having lessons that pertain to extreme freedom in exploring the limits of your desires. You had this world card about capabilities and limitations. Do you know what the limits are? Are you aware of the boundaries when you pursue your desire? Or are you caught up in extremes that cause some kind of anxiety or worry? Is it a big mistake when you go too far? So the lesson has to do with boundaries, limitations with regard to desire. Now, what is the archetype that you're meant to embody during this period? You have Nike, ambition. So your ambitions, I'm free to explore the limits of my desire. Talk is cheap. You have to act. You have to do things. Trust yourself about overcoming any kind of limitation. You know what's best for yourself. You know what to do because you have the ability to gain clarity and to come up with brilliant solutions, concepts, and ideas. So let's see what Nike is all about. The Greek goddess Nike asks you to be present to the beauty and richness discovered in your life so far. You have come this distance, so what are your wins? Celebrating them is key right now to enable you to co-create even more. You live in a world where you may have felt that you were not allowed to celebrate your victories, lest you be cut down for being self-centered. Perhaps you were raised in a family that discouraged you from shining in an authentic way. Being successful at the game of life requires you to refuse the message that you are too much or not enough. Your biggest win is to be yourself, accepting yourself exactly as you are, releasing the idea that you are flawed in any way, and expressing yourself with authenticity. This is the true power of the victory goddess Nike expressed through you. The goddess Nike has another message to share. If you've been struggling to move to the next level of your life, working hard and putting the time and effort in, you will soon find you are finally winning. Your determination and commitment to your intentions are manifesting in your life with beautiful results. When you are winning, the world wins too. Just remember to share your bounty. Okay, so that's important because, again, in the shadow side of the devil, there's extreme greed and selfishness and the fear that others are going to exploit you, take advantage of you. You may have a willingness to help, but then there's the hesitation that you're going to be used. So it's a big mistake for you to be caught up in that mentality. You're meant to, again, act on your intention for the win and to share the spoils with others. This is about your limiting self-beliefs, your thought about what you're capable of and how far you're willing to go to achieve your desire. Now, the very last message from the universe is, the key to prayer is to forget what I think I need. So this is about not getting caught up in outcome. You're exploring, and it may be best not to have a preconceived idea about how it should all play out, what should be the outcome, and maybe what you think you need. You are exploring your desires, and maybe you start out thinking you need one thing, and you suddenly realize that you need something totally different. Now, the underlying energy is this Ten of Cups, and it just got real. And the Ten of Cups is all about achievement, success, some kind of goal, reaching that pinnacle. And so you're completing a cycle. It just got real. Perhaps you've reached the mountaintop. And there's something that's promised. Maybe you're focused on agreements, covenants, contracts. Now, the Ten of Cups, you can be overly emotional. Maybe something just got real and you're, getting caught up in it. Maybe, this is about trying to achieve and not really speaking directly. Maybe you've been playing games or you're going about something in a passive way. But the energy of this goddess says you should be going for it. Now, this may have to do with family, your family connections, or longing to be close to someone, longing to achieve something, or feeling as if what you want maybe doesn't want you. You're feeling that your connections are actually undercutting your goals. Again, especially if you're not getting the cooperation, or perhaps, there's too many demands, too many dependencies. You may feel estranged from family. You may be dealing with some kind of family conflict, or you're fighting with your children, or there's some rebellion or separation or arguments over money or decisions. And so, there's a lot to deal with. So it just got real. But positively, there's a sense of connection, of devotion, that you're sharing in the glory of the blessings that are occurring right now. So there's something where the pinnacle, the peak of success is important, reaching a goal, attaining achievement. And whether those connections that mean the most to you are inclusive and supportive of that, or there's some negativity going on. Either way, it just got real for you. Now, this is about, again, weighing your options. There's a lack of faith, perhaps, in getting some cooperation, or you're trying to figure out what to do in a situation where there's a sense of lack, either physically or emotionally. And there's a dilemma that has to be solved. There's some anxiety about getting to the truth or forming an agreement. And you have a lot of majors in this reading. So cooperation is key. You have the idea that dealing with the past is very important. It has it's weighing in on the future. And you're wrapping some things up. And these are things that may bring gain or may bring some kind of loss to you. There's the possibility for either winning or losing, perhaps, more than you had expected.